Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch every one and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we didn't watch any dang Muppets because it's our birthday. This week, we are celebrating our 37th birthdays because this episode falls right between my birthday and Sam's birthday.
Which is also Jim Henson's birthday.
Yeah, you get the double special birthday.
Yeah.
I get the boring old I share my birthday with Ben Savage birthday.
That's not nothing, man. We didn't watch any Muppet stuff this week, but we did watch things that hands who have touched Muppets have also touched stuff in it. Right?
Yes, that's definitely the clearest way you could have said that. There's some overlap. Because for those that don't know, if you're unfamiliar with our birthday episodes, every year we pick a non-Muppet thing for the other to watch, and we surprise each other with our picks, which we did in our previous episode, and then we watch them and discuss them. And they're not always, they're varying degrees of Muppet adjacent. And I'd say, you know, in the past we've done things directed by Frank Oz or starring Frank Oz. This week we have a Jim Henson Creature Shop movie, which is as close to Muppets as you can get. And then something where like one person who worked on the Muppets also worked on it.
But conceptually, there's a later Muppet
very
project
inspired.
that is very similar to this show and also just is inspired by the Muppets in general and Sesame Street. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would never pick like the Green Mile or something to make us watch. I feel like I would always pick something at the very least would have a puppet in it.
I bet we could find some connection. I bet that mouse
that's a good point.
in the Green Mile
Yeah.
was a puppet at some point.
Oh, you're probably right.
But you've seen the title. You maybe listened to the last episode. You know what we're talking about today. We are talking about the 1994 film The Flintstones, starring John Goodman. That was my pick for the birthday episode.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam picked the first 3 episodes of the 2002 Fox sitcom Greg the Bunny. Now, there's something interesting happened.
Oh, we made a boo-boo.
We didn't clarify last week when we said the first 3 episodes what exactly that meant. I went the commitment route of chronological release order. And went and looked up the airing order of the episodes and watched the first 3 that aired on Fox in 2002. If you go and look for the Greg the Bunny episodes on YouTube, you will find all of them in an order that is the production order. So if you go on there and look up Greg the Bunny episode 1, 2, and 3, the order you will find is different.
And that's what I watched. Because I thought, Matt will surely watch them in production order. That seems like a very Matt thing to do.
It's the least Matt thing to do.
I guess in retrospect, you're right.
Yeah, so, you know, it's like the Muppet Show. If you watch it on Disney Plus in order, it's a different order than what we watched.
Yeah.
We figured it's not a huge deal because it's Greg the Bunny.
And we only discovered it this morning about 20 minutes ago.
Yes. And it's something that when I was putting together my list of things to watch, I was telling myself, you know what? Maybe I should text Sam and just confirm that we're going to watch the same 3 episodes. And I thought, it'll be fine.
When I started watching it, I thought, maybe I should clarify with Matt which episodes to watch, or at least check the little thing that you make every episode, which I didn't think was necessary this time. And then I also thought, it'll be fine.
Yeah, see, I made the little watch list thing, and in my head, I was like, maybe Sam will just check that before he goes to watch them on YouTube.
You
Nope.
fool. I usually do. I've checked it literally every other time we've ever done anything because I'm like, I got to make sure I'm watching the right. Because Fraggle Rock is a classic example of this order being
Exactly.
totally screwed up. Because even Apple like changes it from what it ever was anywhere else or something like that. So,
Yeah, things are out of order, things are in the wrong season, or things don't even, yeah. So this is not an uncommon problem, but we figured it's okay this time, again, because it is Greg the Bunny, and two, because this is our birthday episode. And so the discussion will probably be a little different than usual because we're not just going
yeah.
to talk about all 5 episodes all the way through.
Yeah.
But, Sam and I can teach each other about the episodes we watched and how they were different. But before we get into that, I want to let everyone who's listening, if you're listening to this the week he comes out, know that very soon, in just a few days, I will probably see some of you in person in New York City.
Now's your chance to get him.
Well, ideally, no. If you by get them you mean high five and say hello, then
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, I will be in New York to celebrate Jim Henson's birthday with a planned event and actually multiple planned events around the Museum of the Moving Image. Because in the morning there's going to be a VIP walking tour, sing along, hangout time thing with Heather Henson and Joe Hennis from Tough Pigs that me and my wife will
that's
be
fun.
at. And then in the afternoon, Karen Falk, the archives director for the Jim Henson Company, and Craig Shemin, friend of the podcast, are hosting a screening and presentation at the Museum of the Moving Image discussing the archives and Jim's Red Book because they're celebrating the new updated edition of the Imagination Illustrated book.
Do you know what's going to be shown?
They just said rare clips.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it'll be a mixture of rare clips and some, archival pictures of things that they have in the archives and things. But I know that they're also doing afterwards, which is the time when I think most of us will probably be in the museum, walking around, going to look at the old Muppets and stuff.
Mhm.
There's also going to be what they're calling a swamp meet.
Like Kermit live in a swamp?
Correct.
Okay.
It's a Muppet fan swap meet where people can bring their Muppet collectibles to trade and sell.
Oh, wow.
So I might be spending some money at the museum after the screening. Well, we want to do this little special thing here before we get into talking about our special picks for this week. Because, Sam, I see a lot of podcast clips going around the internet from time to time, and they all got one thing in common. And it's usually people getting riled up about hot takes.
Oh, sure.
Debating things that the internet wants people to debate or have strong opinions on. And I don't feel like, when we do that, it's usually Muppet related. And, the majority of the internet doesn't care as much about our feelings on Thog.
Where did those people come from in those clips? You know?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
You see those podcast clips that it's like 2 people like sitting on a couch, like holding the microphones, or like those 2 guys.
The Basement Yard.
Where did they come from?
Yeah, as far as I know, the Basement Yard podcast exists only in 20-second clips because I've never listened to the podcast or never seen a full episode. All I've ever seen is clips that come up on my feed when other people share them. So maybe it's not even a full podcast. Maybe they just put out clips for all I know.
That would be genius. Making a full podcast is really hard.
It's like you'll see ads like this on YouTube sometimes where it's like, it looks like a podcast.
Yeah.
But they're talking about home insurance or something. And then you realize, oh, none of this is real.
Yes, right.
These aren't even real podcasters. These are actors hired to play podcasters reading an ad on their fake podcast.
Yep, that's right. I've seen those too. Or like people talking about pills. I can't believe you're so buff, dude. How'd you get so buff? It's because I took alpha pills.
And I eat all this mushroom powder. Well, you know what? I feel like we got to dip our toe into the hot takes. So I asked our listeners on Twitter and on our Discord for some lively debate topics that I figured we could lightning around a little bit. I think some of these we'll agree on. Some of these I'm probably going to judge you for your tastes.
And we're going to go viral? Is that the idea?
I'm more curious, honestly, about your answers than I am about the virality of this.
That's nice.
But if we happen to go viral, that's a little bonus.
Oops, we went viral.
Uh-oh. So first up, Sam, morning or night showers?
Oh, morning shower. I couldn't get through my day grimy. And I wake up feeling so grimy. But if I go to bed, I love taking a night shower and feeling clean in the sheets, you
Mm.
know. But I couldn't. If I woke up the next morning, God willing, I would need to take another shower. Frankly speaking, so it's a waste of
Interesting.
water for me.
See, I'm like I think most commonly early like evening shower.
Wow. Okay. So you're not
Yeah.
showering and even going straight to bed.
No.
You're done with your work day. You've maybe even had dinner, and then you go take a shower.
Yeah, I think
Is that
sometimes
how
it's
it
like
is?
a after work workout, then a shower, then dinner. But
Oh, right.
I don't. I'm never a night shower before bed. It's at least
Mm-hmm.
morning or early evening.
So when you wake up in the morning, you do not shower.
Most days, no.
You go to work with the bed sweat under your armpits.
Well, I'm not a very sweaty guy in general, thankfully,
Okay.
so I don't feel gross when I wake up in the morning.
I'm a sweaty sleeper. I think that probably makes a
Mm.
big difference in doing what you do.
Well, now I feel like I need to ask another hot take question of how often you washing those sheets.
I don't know, Matt. That's too personal a question. I don't want to answer.
All right.
How often am I watching? Not as much as I should be for
Clearly, I
for
think your
damn
hesitation
sure.
there scares me.
Yeah.
For saying how
Uh,
sweaty you are and your hesitation, I'm a little worried about your
Leave
sheets.
me alone. That's my answer. Mind your own fucking business. I bet
We've
you
got like
wash yours
15
once
more
a
of these hot take questions, so I'm excited to
bet
see how this is going to go.
You wash yours once a week, I bet, don't you?
Absolutely
You
once a
sick
week, every
puppy.
Sunday.
You little freak. Every Sunday?
Yeah.
Wow. I wish my life was put together like your life is.
Well, we'll take it a little easier with this next one, Sam. Cake or pie?
Pie. I hate cake, actually.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't hate cake. I'll eat a piece of cake, but
Stand down, cake lobby.
you know what? Okay, this is I don't know that I actually really like cake or pie that much, because what I really like is like French silk pie, which
is technically definitely pie.
It has pie in the name, but I think a lot of people would maybe think that pushes the limits of what you'd think of traditionally as a pie. I feel pretty
Right.
strongly that pie needs to have a fruit element to it to count.
Okay.
And then you're getting towards cheesecake almost, maybe with a French silk pie, or like
Which I
a
think,
mousse.
yeah.
It's a mousse,
I think cheesecake is on that weird border as well of like, you're calling that a cake?
Yeah.
That ain't a cake.
It's its own different thing for sure.
Yeah.
But cake, I don't like cake that much. Unless it has like ribbons of some kind of like fudge or something inside of it, or like something to like break up just the cakiness of the cake.
Yeah, I used to hate cake when I was a kid, and I would request pie on my birthday.
I feel like I've heard a bunch of other people say the same thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's not an uncommon thing. I think as I've gotten older, I've accepted cake as a part of my life.
Yeah.
And I think I still prefer pie, but honestly, I don't have either of them that often. But,
Hot or cold pie? Which kind of pie?
I like a nice hot pie.
I would take a cold pie any day of the week over a hot pie.
See, I'm going to go to Break Espresso here in Missoula. Have a nice, I was going to say espresso. I'm not actually drinking espresso. I'll have like a coffee and a nice slice of cherry pie.
And you're being Agent Dale Cooper.
Exactly. That's exactly what I had when we drove through the town where they filmed Twin Peaks. We went to the diner. I had a nice coffee and a slice of cherry pie.
Did they go, very original choice or very daring?
No, because I didn't want to talk to them about Twin Peaks because I've never actually watched it.
Oh, Matt, you weird man.
We were driving through, and I thought it was an interesting tourist stop, but I didn't actually care that much.
You say that, and it's like, you say that in the restaurants, like when a bad cowboy walks through the door of a cowboy bar, everyone's like, you hear like one fork rattle to the floor.
Clatter, yeah. You best keep on moving. Best original starter Pokemon.
Gosh, I think that the only thing I can declare is that it's not Bulbasaur.
I am on your side. I think I've been a Charmander guy my whole life, but I can see the benefits of Squirtle.
Not recently, dear God, this was like 7 years ago. Whenever they re-released the original Pokemon on Game Boy DS or whatever the hell it was called, the
Yeah.
3DS, I think. I played through it again, and it was hard. And I started with Charmander, and I think Charmander, I've heard, is the hardest one to start with, because the
Mm.
first gym is rock, the second gym is water, so it's a long time before you get to. So what I'm trying to say is, if you pick Charmander, you're a cool, tough guy, and Squirtle just kicks ass. He turns into a turtle with guns on his back.
I was, confession, a Pokemon Yellow kid, so I had
Oh,
Pikachu.
you have Pikachu, and that's not
Yeah.
bad either. Poor
No.
Bulbasaur, I think, is cute. I just think it always bothered me that he just turned into himself bigger twice. You know, he never
Yeah.
really was like that interesting or different.
Right. When you turn into a giant tortoise with cannons or a dragon,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, well, big weird plant
a
guy.
big
Not as cool.
frog, a baby frog turns into a big frog. That's pretty expected. That happens in the real world. I don't care
Yeah.
about that.
You're not special, Bulbasaur.
Yeah,
When you hang up your shirts in your closet, are they facing left or right?
you've already lost me.
The concept of hanging something up in your closet.
When I hang up my shirts in the closet, all I care about is that the hook's going the right way. It doesn't matter to me which direction they're.
Wow. So, like the
hung
buttons or
up.
the graphic or whatever's on it doesn't matter which direction it's facing.
90% of the clothes I wear, I just take off the floor. So, well, I use a lot of cabinets too, so I do have stuff hung up. It's not like I don't, but I don't do a lot of laundry, Matt. So, no, Rachel cares about this, and hers is if you're looking at the closet left, the buttons would be on the left hand side of the garment.
Yeah, that's
So,
me and
yeah.
Devin as well. So I think maybe that's the most common answer. And Devin's theory is that because we read left to right, maybe like
Yeah.
you're looking at your clothes from left to right. But yeah, I think that's the more common one. We got a big one, Sam.
Okay.
GIF or GIF?
GIF. Come on. I'm not saying GIF. GIF. GIF's way funnier to say.
I think I'm a GIF guy.
I wouldn't begrudge anyone saying. Actually, maybe I would. I think when people say GIF, I'm like, meh. You're trying to just do what the man tells you to do.
No, the man tells you to say GIF.
But the creator says GIF.
No, I thought he says GIF because graphical.
In 2013, Will Hite was presented with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the annual Webby Awards, honoring excellence on the internet. Upon accepting the award, Will Hite, who invented these things, displayed a 5-word slide that simply read, in all caps, it's pronounced GIF, not GIF.
All right. Then maybe I am following the man.
To that I say, the death of the author. I don't care. Your GIF doesn't even make sense, like you have alluded to. Graphical. Graphical? No way.
I mean, there's plenty of other words besides giraffe that have G's that don't sound like that.
No, giraffical. That's what it would be if it was GIF.
Right, but I'm saying there's plenty of
Giraffical.
other words that use G like a J, and no one has any problem with those ones.
Name one.
Wait, your giraffe point proves my point.
Fuck.
It's not graphical, so it's not GIF.
Ah.
I didn't even realize you were proving my point.
You hit me right on my flashing weak point.
Well then, Sam, sandwiches, how you cutting them?
Mhm.
Horizontally or diagonally?
Diagonally every day of the
Oh,
week.
I'm a straight line boy.
What the hell? We're the opposite in so many
diagonals.
ways. Why?
This doesn't surprise me at all.
Why?
Why would you diagonal?
Why straight? Because it's structurally more sound.
You want that little corner, that little bite?
Yeah, maybe I do, Matt. Is that a problem with you?
It's not. I mean, this is the famous one, but which way should toilet paper go over the roll?
They just uncovered the patent for toilet paper rolls.
But again, are you
and
listening
it
to the man?
showed-
Or are
yes,
you?
in this case, I am. It's an abomination to hang it the other way around, I would say.
I agree. I have literally fixed this in people's bathrooms before.
Yeah, somebody at work does it, or at least used to do it.
Oh, interesting. I definitely have fixed it at work before. When I've seen it that way, I have
Yeah.
switched it. So
I have to. I would guess that the people who do it the other way just don't care. Instead of like
Yes.
there's a reason I'm doing this, I think they're just like, man, it doesn't matter.
I think it's like the hanging the t-shirts thing with you, where you're
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I hang my t-shirt up, the hook's facing that way. It's
Yeah.
fine.
That affects less
Uh,
people than toilet paper though. Because like the
Yeah.
toilet paper thing can have ramifications beyond just your own butt.
Do you like blue cheese?
I love blue cheese. I'm on the
I
record
also
as
love
loving
blue cheese.
almost all stinky, nasty
Stinky
foods.
cheese boys.
Yes. Blue cheese is terrific stuff.
What utensil are you using for mac and cheese?
Oh, this is a big point of contention with me in the chat already.
Yeah, I saw this in the Discord one happen, and this one's popping off, and I think we are definitely on opposite sides of this one.
I think it's a spoon food. This is a Rachel thing too. Spoon food or fork food. Almost everything is a spoon food in my opinion.
What?
Yeah.
Almost everything's a spoon
Spaghetti's for forks are for spaghetti.
Oh, I thought you were about to say spaghetti
No.
was a spoon food.
No, that's too hard. Forks are for spaghetti and larger noodles, and everything else can basically be eaten with a spoon.
This just tells me you're eating a lot of Kraft mac and cheese.
Yes, that's true.
Because
Oh.
every other macaroni noodle is big enough to be forked.
Okay, so wait, let's start here. Kraft
Yeah.
macaroni and cheese, spoon food or fork food?
I go fork by default because I will fork most foods. But I understand that of
Fork
any
for
mac and cheese,
salad.
Kraft is definitely the most difficult to fork.
Yeah, there's no point in even trying to fork Kraft macaroni and cheese. But yeah, okay, I guess like a fancy, like your Stouffer's, or more like melty
Homemade.
as opposed to or homemade Thanksgiving style, a more melty cheese as opposed to liquid cheese. Yeah, maybe you do need a fork for that. But a Kraft, spoon every time.
I think I'm still a fork guy. Even on like Easy Mac cups, I think I'm a fork guy.
all the juices flow through the tines. Doesn't that
I
bother
don't think
you?
I want the juices.
You don't?
Do you care about the distinction between less and fewer?
I don't even know what that means. So no.
This is the problem I run into, where I understand that people get mad about 10 items or less at the grocery store, and they want it to say 10 items or fewer.
Yeah.
And I say to them, hey, I respect you. I don't care.
Go back
at 1%.
Go back to Harvard, you know? Shut up. Let us live our lives. I feel like once you get to be our age, you can either start really caring about that, or you can just be like, meh. Who cares?
Yeah, I'm too busy. That's not.
Yes.
I don't have time to worry about less or fewer.
Mm-hmm.
Pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, hell yeah. Anything on pizza.
You
You
I don't know if I agree with anything on pizza,
Oh,
but I'm
okay.
fine with pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, you don't seem like a guy who would balk at a pineapple on a pizza to me. I'd be really
I don't balk at
disappointed
it. I
if
will
you
never
were.
order it, but if it's on a pizza that's in front of me, I will eat it.
I love pineapple on pizza. I have ordered it
See,
often.
I am at most like pepperoni and sausage, but I like a cheese pizza.
What? Wow. Okay. That's weird. What's the problem with pineapple on pizza? It's just some people don't like the sweet in the pizza.
Yeah, I think people are mad about the idea of sweet on a pizza.
They're mad about it. They are mad about
Yeah.
it. That's true.
Yeah.
Don't be mad about that, guys. There's other stuff to be mad about.
When you get dressed in the morning, you putting your socks on before your pants or after your pants?
I haven't worn socks in months.
I realized as I was asking this question, I'm like, Sam isn't a sock guy.
I put my socks on first, though. My pants?
That's wild.
Before my pants? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put my socks on first. How is this wild?
Yeah, no. Because I put pants on first.
Well, then that's wild, I think. You have to pull your pant. You put your socks on. You put your pants on. You put your pants on.
No.
You pull your pant leg up. You put your sock on. You pull your pant leg up. You put your sock on. Which has more steps, Matt? You wearing ankle socks or you wearing tall socks?
Tall sock.
What? How do
tall
you
socks.
do it? Try it my way.
I mean, I just
once.
pull up the
try
pants
it
a
my
little
way.
bit.
Try it
No,
my way
I
one
can't.
time.
The idea of wearing socks without pants, even for a split second, weirds me out.
It does? Like it's nasty or something?
No, it's just I don't.
Like
it
you look
feels
like a little,
weird.
you look like a little freak boy.
Yeah, I
prancing
feel like
around.
risky businessy.
Yeah.
It just feels odd.
I think it would be cute. I think you should try it.
All right, we got a few more here. Is
It should just
cereal
be our
a
whole
soup?
show.
I mean, this is other podcasts' whole show. This is what they do.
Okay. Well,
Is
let's do
cereal
it.
a soup?
No, it's not. A soup is a soup. Everybody knows what soup is. And I know people will be like, oh, there's cold soups too. I know. It's a broth.
Gazpacho.
It's a broth. No one's ever... A broth is necessary for a soup, I think. No one's...
What about creamy soup?
That's still a broth, you know? Veggie broth, chicken broth. There's
Tomato bisque?
Yeah. It's a... You know it's a soup, though. A milk by itself, a broth does not make. You know?
Sam, I agree with you. I was just trying to poke the bear a little bit.
It just seems like sometimes you gotta just... There's time for fun and games, and there's a time to just say, cereal isn't soup. We're not gonna let this tear apart our country.
Is a hot dog a sandwich, though?
That one I don't know.
This one, Sam, is less committal.
I don't feel very strongly. I don't feel like upset about either argument.
What does your gut say?
No.
When you first hear that, your gut says no.
My gut says no, because I don't think that... I mean, I feel like you wouldn't call like a pig in a blanket. I don't know. The introduction of the sausage in no kind of like sliced form or anything like that. That's the part that feels to me like it couldn't be a sandwich.
But I think even to me, I'm the same. Like my gut says hot dog, not a sandwich. And I think even if you took a hot dog, cut it open, laid it flat between two pieces of bread, that's a hot dog.
I think you're right. And that's also disgusting. I don't know
why.
Right,
but like it doesn't feel like a sandwich, even if it's
dog.
between two pieces of bread.
I'm eating a hot dog sandwich.
Okay, alien. Well, I got two last questions here for you. One concerns me because it feels very like Gen Z is asking us a question that's going to make us seem old.
Okay.
It says, is it okay to use the thumbs up or crying laughing emojis?
This feels like a
And
trap.
I read this and was like, oh, I guess some people think it's not.
Why wouldn't
it? I don't know what these emojis mean, but I've definitely sent them.
This is scary. I sent you that this morning. I sent you a crying laughing, I think.
What were you? Oh, no, you sent me the one like sweaty
the
laughing.
Sweaty guy.
This is the one of the tears coming out of both eyes.
Yeah. Right.
So,
I love emojis and I use them all the time.
That's a Gen Z trap, I think.
So yeah, I'm going to be confident in my saying yes. And I would love to be told why that's a bad take.
I know there's some emojis that have sexual connotations that we shouldn't use because of that. I know the like red-faced sweaty guy. Don't use that one.
When people use that like at work sometimes, and I'm like,
yeah.
Whoa.
I'm like, you know what you're doing, because maybe don't. Or I wonder, are these like millennial cringe? Are these things that Gen Z looks at us and is like, oh, of course they're using the fucking laughing, crying emoji again?
What's wrong with laughing until you're crying?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying I think it separates us from the younger generation. They see it as an older person behavior. Well, my last question, Sam, it does come back to laundry, so maybe it's not your specialty, but it's about removing the dryer lint.
Oh.
Are you removing it after you finish your load of laundry, or are you waiting and removing lint before you start your next load?
Before my next load.
So when you finish your laundry, you take your clean laundry out, walk away.
Yeah, without a care in the world. And then I always check it before I start my next load.
Bold. All right.
Why do you think there's a risk of forgetting?
I think there's a risk of forgetting. I think it's also just, to me, such a natural habit that I have formed where I dry my clothes, I take out the dryer sheets, I use them to swoop up all the dryer lint off of the trap, toss both of those things out at the same time.
Dryer sheets, huh?
Yeah, those wool balls are useless.
I use the wool balls.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time with my wool balls over here, Matt.
I've tried them. My clothes are super staticky and still bad. Didn't like it.
Okay. That's for static. I couldn't possibly even think about static for a second in my life. Just zap me all you want. I don't care.
Well, that was our hot take section of the week.
Maybe we'll put it on TikTok. Somebody.
Yeah, that whole 30-minute segment. So it is time to ask you, Sam, what did we watch this week?
We watched the feature-length film adaptation of The Flintstones, released May 23rd, 1994. The prehistoric city of Bedrock isn't so different from the modern life that you and I enjoy. People do chores, they go to work, they read the newspaper, they drive cars, they do all that stuff, except everything is made out of rocks and dinosaurs. Fred Flintstone is just your average, ordinary citizen of Bedrock. He and his best friend Barney Rubble bowl together every week, belong to the local Loyal Order of Water Buffalo Lodge, and they both work at Slate Rock and Gravel Company. Yes, Fred and Barney are best friends. Such best friends that, prior to the start of the movie, Fred has gifted Barney a sizable amount of money so that Barney and his wife Betty could adopt a child, the feral cave boy, Bam Bam. One day at work, it's announced that a new executive will be recruited from the workers via an aptitude test. Barney aces the test, but sees Fred struggling, and in an attempt to pay Fred back for his generosity, Barney switches their tests before turning them in. A few days later, it's announced that Fred got a perfect score on his test and will become an executive. Unfortunately, Barney got the lowest score and is fired. So Fred starts living it up as a big, rich executive, while Barney and Betty are forced to move in with Fred and his family, wife Wilma, and baby Pebbles. But things aren't actually as they appear when it comes to Fred's cushy new lifestyle. His promotion was actually part of a scheme by shady junior vice president Cliff Vandercave and secretary Miss Stone. Cliff is using Fred to rubber stamp projects and spending and then pocketing the money. Or something like that. He's stealing money somehow using Fred. As Fred's money causes him to lose touch with who he is and with his best friends and his wife and child, Cliff's plan reaches its apex when Fred signs the work orders to completely automate the quarry, effectively firing all the workers, who then start to riot in the streets, calling for the head of Fred Flintstone, the man who fired them. So Fred, without a friend in the world, goes into hiding, but Wilma thinks that something is fishy. She goes to Fred's office and steals his dictation machine, which is like a parrot kind of bird who can recall every conversation that Fred has had in his office. So she and the rebels find Fred and they play the recording of Cliff admitting his scheme to the workers. With his name cleared, Fred heads off to confront Cliff, who has kidnapped Pebbles and Bam Bam and taken them hostage at the quarry. Fred eventually beats Cliff, kind of with the help of Miss Stone, who's reformed and had been spurned by Cliff, and he is then coated in concrete and turned into a statue. Cliff is not Fred. Fred lives through the movie. Mr. Slate, the owner of the quarry, learns what happened, but he is so taken by the possibilities of the concrete covering Cliff that he forgets all about it and offers Fred an actual executive position. Fred declines and returns to his old job and enjoying the simple life with his best pals. Then we also watched the first 3 episodes of Greg the Bunny. Though, as we mentioned, those 3 episodes are different for both me and Matt. We experienced 2 different timelines. I watched them in production order, while Matt watched them in release order. So the show aired on Fox starting March 27th, 2002. But before its first and only season was over, it was moved to IFC to finish its run on cable. Greg the Bunny takes place in a world where humans and puppets live and work together. Greg is an out-of-work actor and also a bunny. His roommate, Jimmy, is a human whose dad just happens to work at Sweet Knuckle Junction, a children's show starring puppets. Unfortunately for Greg, Jimmy and his father Gil don't really get along very well because Gil thinks Jimmy is a loser, so this doesn't really help Greg until one day, Rochester Rabbit, who's the star of Sweet Knuckle Junction, starts to become a problem on set. He's quickly fired, and a desperate search for his replacement is conducted. Greg just happens to be at the office the day of the search because he's hoping to ask Jimmy's dad for a job as a production assistant, but he accidentally ends up auditioning for and landing the gig as the new lead of this show, going from a nobody to a star in an instant. However, things are not quite what he expected once he's on set. His co-stars, who are puppets he's idolized since he was little, are drunken, angry, philandering dirtbags, and Gil is an anxious, desperate man constantly under the pressure of network executive Allison. But Greg makes the best of things and endears himself to the cast. So that's kind of the pilot episode. Then the second episode I watched is called Sock Like Me, which is a nasty little episode wherein Greg is insulted that no one has written mean graffiti about him in the men's bathroom like they have everybody else. Jimmy tells him that it's because everybody thinks that he wouldn't be able to take a joke. So to show all of them that he can take a joke, Greg writes, Greg is a stupid sock who should die on the wall of the bathroom. But in this world, sock is a verboten slur against puppets. So once the graffiti is discovered, Allison hunts down the perpetrator. Eventually, Junction Jack, who's the disgruntled human star of Sweet Knuckle Junction, is accused. He denies it, but is forced, along with everyone else, to take puppet sensitivity classes. Eventually, Greg tells Jack what he did, but Jack takes the fall so that Greg can keep being one of the cool kids who has something mean written about him in the bathroom. I also watched Dottie Heat, a title I did not get until literally this very second. It's like body heat. So Dottie is another human on the show, and she's like a singer. However, she's also really clingy, annoying, and sexually forward with her co-stars. So everybody is kind of uncomfortable working with her. They push her off on Greg, who's the new guy who doesn't know what she's all about. And she immediately invites him over to her place to get to know each other better, in quotation marks. Greg is too stupid to know that she's trying to seduce him, and instead the pair end up having a sweet, perfectly innocent sleepover. And then Dottie tells Greg that she appreciates him treating her like a human. The next day, though, Greg gets pressured to tell the guys at work that they did indeed have sex with each other. Dottie overhears this and is very hurt that Greg would lie about this and break their friendship. So Greg makes a public announcement to the entire cast and crew that he was lying to seem cool and that Dottie deserves respect, and they make up. Those are my 2 episodes.
I didn't write summaries for my 2 episodes, but I can talk about them real quick because they are equally wild. And every episode of the show sounds like a different show.
Yeah, the two besides the pilot I watched were very different.
Well, even just your description of Dottie in that episode, I'm like, that doesn't sound right to me. As far as Dottie being overly like clingy or sexual towards her coworkers, like I didn't see much evidence of that.
That aspect was very sketchy. Like they didn't ever quite explain what her deal was. Everybody was just like, I don't want to work with Dottie. She'll have sex with you, which is like, huh? Okay.
Yeah, in the pilot, she just seemed a little like insecure, but not like no one seemed to hate her. In the second episode I watched, which was SK 2.0, that aired on March 31st, 2002. Basically, they do a focus group with a bunch of kids.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are bored by Sweet Knuckle Junction, and the network, Allison, played by Sarah Silverman, decides to change things up, and they put Jimmy in charge. Because he has some bold new ideas, which largely is, hey, let's drop a green screen down in front of this set, and everything's going to be CGI and quick cuts and MTV, baby.
That sounds good. That sounds like a good episode.
They change everyone's name. Greg the Bunny is G the Bee. Count Blah becomes Count Ait. Junction Jack becomes a robot named Cybo Jack. Cool. And they dress up Dottie like Britney Spears and have her dance on a pole.
Great.
Cybo Jack is definitely a highlight of that episode. The third episode is called Jewel Heist, a name that is unclear why they're calling it that until you get to the end of the episode.
Okay.
Because this is an episode, so it's the third one aired, but it was the 11th one in production, so very near the end of the run, and you can tell because they've changed the way Greg the Bunny looks. He has new eyes, and the show doesn't know what it wants to be about because this show is not about Sweet Knuckle Junction at all. Find out that Gil, Eugene Levy's character, has invited all the dudes at the studio to go to play paintball this weekend.
Oh, that sounds good.
And so the women who work at the studio, which is Allison, Dottie, and Susan Monster, all get angry and confront Gil and challenge them to a paintball game. And so they all go out and play paintball together. Meanwhile, Jimmy has a new love interest whose dog hates Greg and will try to eat him at every chance.
Okay.
So Jimmy and Chelsea go off on a date, leave Greg at home with the dog.
Greg didn't get to
Dog
go play
terrorized.
paintball?
Neither of them get to go play paintball.
Oh.
Jimmy has changed. His girlfriend made him all. They were going to wine country. He has a sweater around his shoulders.
Oh, no,
He's changed,
Jimmy.
man. And Greg doesn't get to go to paintball because he is stuck under the couch because the dog has cornered him.
Oh, okay.
The twist and the reason for the title of this episode is because Greg calls Junction Jack and Blah, and I think even Warren to come over and save him from the dog, leaving Gil alone to fend for himself in the paintball realm. They come over and decide the only way to calm this dog down is to neuter it.
Oh, no.
Thankfully, Junction Jack has a history.
That's the jewels they're heisting.
Yep.
Okay.
They have a history. Junction Jack has a history of working on a farm, apparently. And so they knock out the dog with a bunch of Warren's pills that he has with him all the time. And we get a whole long scene of Junction Jack sewing up this dog's testicles.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but okay.
Basically, the camera is down from like the dog's point of view. So you just see legs up in the bottom of the frame.
Oh, that's fun.
And you see Junction Jack standing there between the dog's legs with a needle and thread.
Oh, so they actually neuter the dog.
Yes, and they replaced the dog's testicles because they were like, oh no, she's going to notice.
She's going to see, yeah.
And so they replaced them with these prop fake eyeballs that Greg purchased earlier in the episode, which are supposed to be replicas of Sammy Davis Jr.'s eyes. And when you shake them, they play Mr. Bojangles. So Chelsea comes back to check on her dog, and the dog's testicles are playing Mr. Bojangles.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great episode.
It's awful.
You liar.
I feel like we should talk about Greg the Bunny first,
Okay.
and then we can get into Flintstones.
Okay, I agree with that.
Just because I feel like we'll have less to say overall about Greg the Bunny because we only watched the same one episode.
Yeah, I mean, between the two of us, we put a pretty big dent in the whole Greg the Bunny mythos, though.
See, and that's the thing is like, knowing there's only 13 episodes of this season, when I first started watching the pilot, I was like, you know what? Maybe just out of curiosity, I'll watch all 13 of these just to, like, it's not terrible.
Uh-huh.
And then after watching the other two episodes, I was like, I'm good. I don't think I need to watch the rest of this.
I kind of felt like, and now especially with you talking about the other episodes, I kind of feel the opposite. Where I was like, I could just burn through all these. Why shouldn't I?
See, that's exactly how I felt before I watched Jewel Heist.
Okay, because the pilot,
the
pilot especially was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, the pilot sets it up for a show that I think could easily go a full season.
Yeah.
I think from what I read, basically no one could agree what this show should be about. Are the puppets the main characters? Are the humans the main characters? Is the point to make a good TV show? And I think you feel that every episode feels completely different and the point is completely different.
Uh-huh.
Jimmy is not really in the Jewel Heist episode, and you would assume he's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's about nothing to do with producing the TV show, but more about Allison and Gil competing in paintball is,
I think that's
I
fine.
don't know.
I think that's fine. I'll have to watch it and decide for myself.
I mean, you can. You don't have to. So this show, while co-created by Seth Green and Dan Milano, who both go on to work on Robot Chicken after this, also co-created by Stephen Levitan, who co-created Modern Family.
Right, that's why his name sounded familiar.
But also co-created the characters and show by Sean Baker, who would go on to make Tangerine and the Florida Project.
Yeah, I think he is in, so after this show was canceled, I think it became, before the show was picked up and after it was canceled, I think it was shorts on IFC, and I think he's in them. I think Sean Baker is one of the characters in the show. Yeah,
I think I would love to know more about this because it feels to me like Fox had no faith in this show whatsoever.
Yeah.
One, because they aired it so out of order that it feels like maybe they were just trying to put their best foot forward and see if they could get people interested. But in reading about the way they aired this show, this is not how you air a show that you want people to watch.
Yeah, this is such a weird thing that happens so often is they make these whole shows and then they just sabotage them while they're airing them. That seems so pointless to me.
They aired the first 3 episodes all within 1 week.
Oh no!
They went Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday.
Sunday.
For the first 3 episodes. Yep.
No, don't do that.
Then they aired 3 more episodes, just back to back to back weekly, like normal, like a normal show would.
Uh-huh.
But then after those 3, they took a month off of showing any episodes. Then they aired 2 more, like, weekly episodes. Then they took 6 weeks off, and then aired the last 3 episodes, but within another, like, week and a half of each other, like a
Oh.
Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday kind of schedule. So there was no consistency ever to this show airing.
Well, and on Wikipedia, it says that some of the episodes premiered first on IFC.
Wild. Yeah, I think the last 2 of the season didn't air at all on Fox.
Okay.
But they took essentially 19 weeks to air 11 episodes.
But why not just get it? Why? What were
I
they
don't
doing in
know.
those 6 weeks?
Something tells me, like, was there an Olympics, or was there a sports thing or something happening that they needed to take time off for and just didn't care enough about the show to stick it where they could do best? But to take a month off, air 2 more, take 6 weeks off, air 3 more, like, it just feels to me like
It's
they
deranged.
didn't think this show was worth investing time and energy in.
Yeah.
It is, I will say, a very, very much reminiscent of early 2000s Fox sitcoms in that there's a lot of nastiness, a lot of very, problematic jokes that would not be made these days.
Yeah.
I assume in my episodes there were. I assume there were in yours as well.
One of my whole episodes was just like it was the racism episode was like you could kind of tell that they were trying to make like a point, but
Right.
they were doing it in such an offensive way that it was like you're just belittling the idea that of racism, like that it exists. Basically,
I mean, even something that's interesting but doesn't go literally anywhere is that at the opening of the pilot, they show that, like, puppets are treated differently than humans. That, like, there's stores that have humans only signs.
Yeah, right.
And they refer to themselves as, like, fabricated Americans.
Yeah.
Which feels like it's going somewhere, and then it just isn't relevant at all.
I think that's for the best, probably.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying they should have leaned into that.
This isn't the show
I
to
think
tackle that. Yeah.
No. I just think it's interesting that they say specifically there are 3.2 million puppets in America.
Wow.
And that they are treated like second-class citizens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, bold opening stance. But then to, like, not have that be evident in any of your episodes.
Right. They're treated very normally, and even maybe with more respect than like Warren the Ape is maybe treated more respectfully than Gil or any other character in the show.
Yeah, I know. It's a weird show. What do you think overall, though? Did you like watching Greg the Bunny?
I loved Greg and I loved Warren. The thing I really liked about it was that Greg was as cute as he is set up to be. Like, Greg is not the character who is smoking cigarettes and like swearing and stuff like that, because that's what Warren and all the other puppets do. So, like, there's a part in one of mine. Oh yeah, you didn't see this. There's a part in Dottie Heat where he's taking a bath in the sink, and it's like the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life, because he's just like splashing around in the sink, and Seth Green comes in and like throws some dishes in the sink with him. But they're just talking about his date, and Seth Green's like helping him blow dry off and stuff. And I think, like, I liked their relationship a lot, and I could kind of take or leave the TV show stuff to some degree.
See, and that's what because I agree. I liked Seth Green and the Jimmy and Greg relationship.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I was so bummed, because the second episode I watched, SK 2.0, like, Jimmy just goes completely off the rails and isn't listening to anyone and is just trying to make his MTV version of this show, and everyone hates it. Like, no one's on his side. And so he's just completely unlikable. And then in the third one, he runs off with his new girlfriend and is barely in the episode at all and seems like a bad friend to Greg.
Yeah.
And so you get in the 3 episodes I watched, you get very little of their friendship.
Yeah. In the 2 I watched, he's in quite a bit of it. He has a whole subplot in the Dottie one where he's in love with Allison. And then
which they hint at a little bit, I think, in every episode. Like, there's a general interest from Jimmy in Allison.
Yeah. And so what I read about this show was that the intention, and it was written to build up and become like deeper, I think. So like it's not like everything goes back to the status quo necessarily at the end of every episode, and the character relationships were supposed to grow and things like that. And the creator was mad that they showed it out of order. I mean, obviously you'd be mad that they showed it as wildly
Yeah.
as they did, but he was saying by the time you get to SK 2.0, you're supposed to have spent a bunch of time getting to know these characters. So then
Yeah.
seeing them change is the funny part. Or like
Which would
every
make a lot
episode-
more sense because it definitely, going from the pilot to SK 2.0, you're just immediately being told, hey, this show sucks and nobody likes it.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it, and I think like the parts that fell flat, I think were probably, they're like the parts that are just dated. They're not the kind of thing that is like generally in comedy anymore.
Yeah. It also, like, I don't want to hold this against it too much, but it looks super cheap.
I think
Like,
that's
it looks,
fine though.
I don't know. It makes it feel like I don't get lost in the show because I can feel the acting. I can feel the production. Like, I feel like I can see the grip holding something right next to the camera.
Yeah.
Which an episode you didn't see, which I don't know if this is a indicative of just being later on in the series and maybe they knew something was going wrong already. In the Jewel Heist episode, when Greg is being chased by the dog, there's like 3 different times you can see puppeteers just fully like controlling Greg the Bunny. At one point, he slides under a couch and you see the hand like pushing him under the couch. And I don't know. I didn't notice that in the earlier episodes. So it's I don't know. I did not love watching this show.
Okay.
I will say that.
I wouldn't say I loved it, but I do think I will finish it because
that's wild.
I don't know. I thought I just really, really liked Greg a lot, and I want to see him continue to get into misadventures. Another thing about Greg was he a hand puppet? He must be, right?
Yeah, I think he's like one of those puppets you buy, just like at a
Folk
toy store
Manus or whatever puppet.
Yeah,
I don't know
like
how
he's just
you
got
do so much. Like my hands aren't very flexible, but the amount of like arm moving he's doing for being that kind of puppet, that seems hard.
Well, I think he's also got one of the things you get to see in the Jewel Heist episode is that it looks like the puppeteer probably has a remote control for the mouth.
Right, that makes sense.
So I think the mouth is controlled by a separate thing with the other hand.
Yeah, right.
So he's mostly controlling the hands and the head movement, but the mouth movement is from a different controller.
Yeah, he's got mouth and ears that both move, which, you know, I think the puppets were pretty good too. Like, they look cheap.
Some of them.
But in an endearing way. I think Count Blah is less successful, for sure.
That's the one I was going to mention.
But I think
Count Blah looks like a puppet you bought somewhere, not that you made specifically for a TV show.
I think Warren and Greg both look very like charming and specific in a nice way. I didn't see anywhere Greg's eyes get changed though, and I don't like his new eyes.
Yeah, in the third episode I watched, Jewel Heist, they have given Greg like just doll eyes. He just has like normal eyes, not the button eyes he has early on. He also has movable eyelids. That will shift around, and it looks less cute. It just looks like less of a character choice. It looks like a default bunny puppet as opposed to a very strong like button eye choice early on.
I wonder why they did that. I wonder if that was a note or...
Did you watch this show at all when it was airing?
No, I don't even think I knew. Like, I never knew it was even on.
See, I have very strong memories of my dad for some reason. I think we watched the show, and for a while, this is like, I can't explain why, but I remember my dad just saying blah a lot. Like, we watched this show, and then for a while, my dad was just like sort of obsessed with like just adding like blah into sentences.
Which is what Count Blah does.
Correct.
Wow, your dad loves Count Blah. That's interesting. The biggest Count Blah fan in the world, perhaps.
I think that is probably accurate at the time, at least. I don't think he's kept up with Greg the Bunny in any way, but I have very strong memories of my father being like, yeah, blah. Like just like adding blah into random sentences throughout the day.
I don't have a ton of examples written down, but I also think like for as many jokes as there were that didn't work, I think there was a lot that did, like little one-liners.
Mm.
But the one that you didn't get to see, one where Jimmy is talking to Allison and her boyfriend shows up, and he like gets really nervous and he's like, oh, well, and then he leaves, and the boyfriend says, "Is he a puppet?" And Allison says, "I don't know," and that made me laugh really hard. So
That's pretty good.
it's got like it's got its moments, I think. I'm not sad I watched it, but I really want to watch Happily Unhappily Ever After, and
Mm.
the other bunny puppet show from around the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple things the world of these puppets I think was interesting. One, they can age and die apparently, because Rochester Rabbit is aging out of the role
Yes.
on Sweet Nickel Junction, and in a later episode that neither of us watched, he does die of a heart attack.
Oh, I thought he caught on fire. He dies of a heart attack though.
Maybe both, for all
Maybe
I
both.
know.
I think it maybe was both.
But they do have a funeral for Rochester Rabbit at some point. So
Okay.
in the world of these puppets, they can age and die.
That's one important distinction that they have from the Muppets, but not the Fraggles.
Yeah, I think maybe I understand the creators' anger about the airing of the episodes, because not only did I have the SK 2.0 episode, which is about Sweet Nickel Junction like not being relevant anymore, but also the Jewel Heist episode. It feels like you should care a lot about Greg and Jimmy's friendship in
Mhm.
order to start to see him going off with his girlfriend and changing and becoming a different guy. And because it's the third episode that I've seen, and in the second episode, Jimmy sucks,
Mhm.
this doesn't feel that out of character for me. I'm like, oh yeah, of course he's doing something shitty.
But it's a deeper show than that, man. You're gonna get to know these guys.
He's got to watch it in the original production order.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It really did bring me right back to the early 2000s, though.
It is of its time.
Yeah.
In so many ways. It feels I feel like there was like 20 different shows on Fox during this time that have this exact same energy.
What is it? What is it copying? What was the originator of that energy? Do you know?
Ooh, that I don't
Is
know.
this
I feel
still
like
Married with
it's just
Children runoff, or
I feel like if the dominoes fall, it starts with Married with Children
Yeah.
as like the slightly nasty Fox show. I think The
Right.
Simpsons fell in that category as well, as just a little edgy.
Yeah.
And I think as we got into the late 90s, early 2000s, Fox just kept trying to be edgier and edgier and edgier.
Yeah.
And so eventually you get shows that just, step over that line from time to time.
Yeah. I think where The Simpsons differentiates itself is that it is ultimately a pretty sweet show.
Yes.
And that's
This
where
is
the other
ultimately
ones are
not,
just-
I don't
yeah.
think.
Just so cynical.
The fact that the show kept going on IFC and then also got a spinoff that's like a fake reality show with Warren the Ape.
You know what? People
Okay.
like puppets, Matt. That's really the answer. And I think basic cable is the perfect place for puppets to be. So I think that that's okay. Do you think that I feel after watching this and thinking about the Muppet show that comes out in 2018 or whatever, do you think,
Oh, the 2015 ABC one?
yeah, 2015, I feel like Jim would have made a show like this if he had the idea or someone pitched it to him? Don't you?
I mean,
like-
yeah, I feel like we've seen enough evidence of, the Fantastic Miss Piggy show and other things where very often he is showing the behind the scenes of working on things.
Yeah.
In TV with the Muppets. So I don't think the idea is completely out of left field.
I think
I
if
think
he
this
had
is just
seen the
the-
2015 series, he might have been like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I don't think he would have
Yeah.
thought.
I think he probably would have asked for maybe it to be split a bit more like the Muppet Show. And this is
Yeah.
a lot of speculation about a guy who was long dead by the time the show came out. But
Yeah.
I think, like, to me, a lot of people's complaints about that show is that they wanted to see more Muppet fun and sketches and
Yeah,
stuff on
yeah.
stage,
Right.
as opposed to all of the show being about the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I would be like, again, I'm curious to watch the rest of it because I am curious about those glimpses into the interpersonal relationships between Allison and Jimmy,
hmm
or Gil and his son. Like, I feel like there's a lot of unexplored territory there, and I don't know if they explore that at all in the episodes that we
Right.
haven't seen.
Yeah.
But I feel like from the introduction, from the pilot, you do have this dynamic where you have the father and son who don't seem to get along very well, but are forced to work together. You got a lot you can do with that.
hmm
Then you have Allison, the like younger network head who Jimmy seems to have a crush on. You could go somewhere with that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating in some ways to go back and watch something like this from such a specific time.
Yeah, and maybe something a little less like if it wasn't a raunchy comedy series, that maybe would have helped. Like that would have helped it, I think.
Yeah, it feels like
Or
it wants to be the Feebles, but it can't get that nasty.
right, but it also does want to be a little bit more elevated than your Married with Children's are, but it doesn't do that quite either. So
Well, I
yeah, if
think
it had been like a little bit
yeah.
more domestic-y, a little bit more like I don't know. If it had just been less South Park and more Modern Family, maybe, then it would have been.
Well, I think what the ABC Muppets series does is it takes it into, just accepting that these puppets are part of the real world. This is who they are,
Hmm.
whatever. But occasionally, the little jokes about being a puppet or being made of fleece or whatever are like
Yeah,
woven in sort of naturally.
right.
Whereas I feel like in one episode, puppets are, a whole other
Yeah,
class that need to be treated completely differently.
yeah,
But then the next episode, uh, you know, a puppet can be best friends with all these humans, and there's never anything brought up about the separation there. And so I
right.
just think it's inconsistent in the way it treats its own characters.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like something that in the writers' room they were like, "Haha, wouldn't that be funny and edgy?" And then once they started writing scripts, they were like, "We're not really equipped to talk about this, and it's not very much fun to think about if you think about it too hard."
I mean, they even have a character called the Gay Bear to tell you,
They
like,
do.
sort of the
They do.
depth of this show. Couple weird puppet facts about this. Some of the background puppets from this were reused from the direct-to-video series The Adventures of Timmy the Tooth.
Oh yeah, I was
Do you remember
seeing
that
that.
show?
I do remember that show. What the hell was that show?
I don't know. The images of it all look super creepy, and I hope neither
Yeah,
of us ever picks it for a birthday episode.
but it was a
'Cause
kid show, right?
yeah, I
I'm
think it
pretty
was just
sure.
like
Yeah,
a VHS tape thing to brush your teeth, kids.
like of all the things to base a character around, a tooth's a pretty bad one. That's gross.
A lot of these characters were created before the Fox series was ever even a thing. They created these Greg the Bunny characters for shorts, for an IFC show, I believe, or maybe there was like a public access version of this at some point. But they created two new characters for this series. There's Susan Monster, who you didn't really get to see much of, except for in the audition scenes. But she has a bigger part in the paintball episode,
Huh. Okay.
where she is like actually friends with Allison and Dottie.
I only saw Susan Monster pop up in like one little cutaway joke in the ones I watched.
Yeah, no, she's a fully fleshed out character pretty much in the
Interesting.
paintball
Okay.
episode, surprisingly. But also, so her and the turtle character that appear in this were created originally for this series. They did
Mm.
not exist previously.
Hmm.
So when Fox canceled this, they claimed copyright over the turtle and Susan.
Oh
And so
no.
for some reason, when they went to IFC, the Greg the Bunny show on IFC couldn't use those two characters because Fox
Uh-huh.
was like, no, 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 no. We
We want
are
these
definitely going to
guys.
do something with these in the future.
Valuable characters.
And it doesn't seem like they ever did, obviously. But, fun to think about the fact that Disney, I guess, owns them now.
Oh wow. Yeah, the turtle's name is challenging too, so
Yeah, don't want that to show up anywhere in Disney
I don't foresee
Plus.
that. Yeah. I'm watching on silent the IFC episodes right now and they look more interesting for sure.
Mm,
They look like low rent in a good way, low rent in a basic cable, low rent in
right.
a public access television way. That I think I
Okay.
think sometimes it's okay for stuff to just stay on cable and public access, even if there's not as much money in it. But if I'm not gonna watch the rest of the series, I am definitely gonna watch the shorts that they were in.
Well, I will also note one last thing about Greg the Bunny, something that connects everything on this podcast. The puppeteer behind Count Blah on Greg the Bunny is Drew Massey, who also is a puppeteer in the 1994 Flintstones movie
Oh,
and puppeteered with the Henson Company and the Muppets, and at one point was even the performer of Statler.
wow! Like the voice.
Yeah, in the From the
Mm.
Balcony whatever series they do
Uh-huh.
that where a lot of the performers I think were different.
Yeah.
I think he also does Sam the Eagle in that. So yeah, that one man connects this all together.
I could hear Statler and Count Bluff for sure.
Yeah. But any last thoughts on Greg the Bunny, Sam?
No, it was kind of exactly what I expected it to be.
Same.
uh
Yeah. Was not surprised by anything.
I think maybe one overall thought is like I respected how unembarrassed they were that it was a show with puppets in it. I feel like I
Mm.
didn't get the impression that they were like, "Oh yeah, we're making this stupid show with puppets in it." Where
I agree. This is completely like speculation. I feel like the network was embarrassed.
yes, totally. I think you're a guy in a suit who's making, you know, $500,000 a year. You don't want your TV channel to have a bunny puppet on it, maybe.
Right.
But that's
And
just
so
rude
I
on your
think
part.
everyone on the show, like Eugene Levy and Seth Green and all of them, do a great job of interacting with the puppets.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, aside from the Jewel Heist episode where you see the puppeteer multiple times, I didn't ever really think about the puppeteering that
No.
much.
Yeah, I didn't either. Especially on Greg, who feels like a normal guy who's just on this
Mm.
show. Yeah.
Well, then, Sam, we should probably talk about the May 23rd, 1994 film, The Flintstones, celebrating its 30th anniversary this year.
Oh wow.
Directed by Brian Levant, a man who was, from what I can tell, completely obsessed with the Flintstones, has a gigantic Flintstones collection,
That's kind of
and
what you're looking
also,
for in a guy directing the Flintstones movie, I think.
but he also directed Beethoven and Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way, a movie I consider far lower in quality than the Flintstones movie.
Wow, I mean, I think they all, define my childhood in a way that is
Mhm.
hard for me to separate them. And I will say, going into this conversation, I think the number one problem with the Flintstones is that I have seen it too many times.
Yeah, that's a struggle, I think, isn't it?
I think I had no new thoughts
Yeah.
while watching this movie last night.
I was trying really hard. I've also seen it a number of times. I was trying really hard to concentrate on the puppetry moments, of which there are
Yeah.
quite a few. But I do think if you're going to make a Flintstone movie, the thing you have to nail, one of the things you have to nail is the dinosaurs. And I think they did do a really good job. I think Dino could have been in it more, but
I think there's an interesting split between they have puppet Dino and they have CGI Dino.
yeah, too bad they have
And
CGI Dino, in my opinion.
from what I read, it seemed like they made a full body Dino costume, like a Barkley at some point,
Uh-huh.
and that it just didn't look good.
Yeah.
And so for some of the scenes they wanted to do, they had to go CG. So
Maybe bad CG is better than really creepy, but I would have to see for myself.
yeah, and I'd say like overall, this is definitely very light on the CG. Like
Mhm.
it's definitely noticeable when it pops up, and apparently in some ways a little bit of a trailblazer when it comes to CG,
Oh.
because the saber-toothed cat that they
Baby
throw
Puss,
out.
Matt, please put some respect on Baby Puss's name.
I did not know Baby Puss had a name. Sorry to Baby Puss if you're listening. But it marks one of the first times there was a furry CG character in a feature film.
Wow, Baby Puss walked so that Mike
Was
Wazowski's
that
friend
nope?
could run.
Yes, famously known as Mike Wazowski's friend, James P. Sullivan put some respect on his
Yes,
name.
I'm so sorry, Sully.
Remember Baby Puss, but not Sully. But yeah, the trivia says a specific complex algorithm had to be developed to calculate the movement of every single hair on the fur.
Okay, just build a puppet, you weirdos. The algorithm's called reality and physics.
But the puppets do look extremely good, and
Yeah,
apparently the Henson Company
the
only had
puppets look
12
great.
weeks to make them.
Oh wow, yeah. Some of them are a bit. I think the Dictabird is a little janky looking, but
He's such a good character, though.
he's a great character. I love that he's voiced by the person who voiced the Great Gazoo, and
Yeah,
fills
Harvey
the
Korman,
same.
who we have seen interact with Muppets in the past.
Oh yeah, right. Who and plays a similar role. I think that's like a nice way to be like, this is a character everybody hated, but also like a fun character. So we'll just kind of put him in we'll sneak him into the movie a little bit. Yeah, I think my favorite thing about this movie, I feel like obviously, is the production design overall.
Yeah.
Is like fucking amazing. And when they have like the establishing shots of Bedrock, which they like built all of like Cadillac
Mm-hmm.
rocks or whatever those rocks are called, it's just like Cadillac rocks might be from the movie Cars. I'm not sure, but
I think
the
you're right.
real life version of the Cars mountains is where they made this movie. And it's just like, I just want to live in Bedrock so bad.
What Sam's talking about is the Vasquez rocks, which
Sorry.
are in Star Trek, the original series.
Yeah.
They're in Power Rangers. They are in the Adam West Batman.
I think they're in every Star Trek series that's ever existed, probably.
There is a a Wikipedia page called List of Productions Using the Vasquez Rocks as a Filming Location, and it is multiple scrolls to get to the bottom of that list, especially when it comes to TV shows. Like Friends used it, Dinosaurs uses it, The New Monkeys, like everything.
I think they go there in New Girl. I mean, I think any episode where the characters live in California, I don't know why the Friends were there, but any episode where they live in California and they go camping, they're usually going to Vasquez Rocks.
If I remember correctly, there's a certain legal reason that is, and I think it's because it's like the last place that's like in Los Angeles County that it looks like this. So it's like the furthest they can get out into the desert, I believe, but still have a place that looks like this.
Right.
And so they use it as a background for a lot of shows because of the certain, they would have to pay more, I believe is the thing, if they filmed any further out from Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm just like, my head is flashing with all the images of all the characters from Next Generation climbing up these mountains because I know, that they all did it. So yeah, you'll know. And once you know about them, you'll see them in every show and be like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, they are in pretty much everything at some point.
Yeah. But they never looked better than when Bedrock City, USA is nestled in there.
Yeah, the production design, and when you think about it too, they had to build literally everything in this movie from scratch.
Yep.
Because it's the Flintstones. Everything has to be made of rock. So you can't just buy some plates or a fork or curtains.
Yeah.
Literally everything has to be created from scratch.
A lot of plaster for this movie, for sure.
I'm guessing a lot more foam. I think there's one point where Wilma grabs the briefcase they're trying to give Fred, and her hands just squeeze into it like a marshmallow.
I didn't notice that. Well, there's parts where Fred is like reading the newspaper or looking at documents and like smashes them up and they like crumble in his hands. So a little bit of both.
But clearly we both love this movie.
Yes. When I was watching it, I was reading the Wikipedia and I looked at like the critical response and it was like, this has a 25 on Rotten Tomatoes. What? Why?
You know, and then a lot of people in the world are wrong about a lot of things, Sam, and this is, I think, the biggest one.
The critics are like, this movie, the storyline's so cynical. And no, like not an inkling of thought went into the plot. It's like, I guess it was different times in 1994 and maybe people had higher expectations for stuff.
I read Roger Ebert's review, who he actually liked it more than you would think he did.
Right.
I think largely because of the production design. He was like, this movie looks so cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But he felt like the plot was a little thin, and also I think was asking the question of, who is this for? Like, do kids want to watch a movie about embezzlement and layoffs and things, and which I understand, but as a kid who watched this movie dozens of times and has owned it on every version of physical media that exists, yes, kids like this movie. I
often also think like there's so many movies for kids, like Jingle All the Way, like whatever, where the parent is the main character and the parent's boss is like, you have a big report due. That's like every kid's movie. And I think it may be, I don't know, it is like trying to imagine what your parents do is fun somehow, maybe, or something. Or adults are writing the movie. Like, what is the movie supposed to be about if it's not about a guy being at work? That's like 100% of what everybody in the whole world does all the time.
Yeah, they could have gone the route of, you know, leaning into using Pebbles and Bam Bam a lot more in this movie as like, hey kids, you want to watch other kids do things? But Pebbles does pretty much nothing in this movie.
Yeah, Bam Bam does more than Pebbles for sure. But also, the original cartoon was for adults and came on at prime time and was about a guy who was at work. So that kind of falls flat for me, that criticism.
Well, but I think that's the other part of that criticism is the fact that this isn't a movie for adults either.
Yeah, it is. I'm an adult. It's a movie for people who want to see John Goodman's big arms and want to see Elizabeth Perkins looking really hot as Wilma Flintstone. Are you kidding me?
I don't know if that was the consensus at the time of the reason people went
My
to see
review
this
would have been
movie.
awooga, awooga.
Two augas from
Yeah.
Sam Schultz. I think part of the other thing that sort of plagued this movie is that it took like 10 years to make from the
Ah,
idea stage to when it finally came out.
yeah.
There were 35 different writers who worked on this movie through the
Are you
years.
serious?
Yes, I believe it holds a record, or like at least close to a record, for the number
That's
of writers
so
to work on a
funny
single
because the
project.
story is stupid. So,
Yeah, and it seems like it had gone between a bunch of different directors who were going to do it. Apparently, Richard Donner was going to do it at some point. There was a writer, Mitch Markowitz, who at one point worked on one version of the script, and he said that his version was a cross of The Grapes of Wrath with the Flintstones.
oh, cool.
And said that it was going, he said, I don't remember it that well, but Fred and Barney leave their town during a terrible depression and go across the country, or whatever that damn prehistoric thing is, looking for jobs. They wind up in trailer parks trying to keep their families together. They exhibit moments of heroism and poignancy.
What? That sounds
And
nice.
apparently, that was too sentimental for Richard Donner, who was attached to direct at the time.
Huh?
Can you imagine
Too
if you're
sentimental
adapting
for
the
Richard Donner.
Flintstones for the big screen for the first time, turning this
Yeah.
cartoon into a movie, and your version of it is Fred and Barney down on their luck, living in a trailer park, trying to keep their families together?
I would cry for them. I would love. Yeah, it's beautiful. Did you read the cartoon of the or did you read the comic book Flintstones?
Yeah, the 2016 series.
Yeah, that one tackled some stuff like that, and that was pretty
I
good.
think, yeah, so those were written by Mark Russell.
Mhm.
He did a few different, I think, Hanna-Barbera, or at least there
Right.
was this line in 2016 of Hanna-Barbera inspired DC comics.
Yeah.
The Flintstones one is so good,
Yeah, it's great.
especially when it talks about like the home appliances,
Uh-huh.
and like he throws his bowling ball in the closet with the vacuum cleaner, and like they fall in love, and they
Yeah.
have this whole
Yeah,
relationship
the bowling
until
ball's
I
like
think
an
at the
armadillo or something. Yeah, right.
yeah, and I think the vacuum gets replaced at some point, and it's this whole dramatic scene that sounds ridiculous when I say it, of
Yeah.
the armadillo being sad that his vacuum lover is being taken away from him,
Uh-huh.
but it's so well done and so well written
And
that
honestly,
I encourage everyone to read those.
this movie kind of plays in the same space too, because there is the storyline of their garbage disposal in the background who gets replaced, and is the one
Yeah.
who like sells Fred out when he sees
Yeah,
him
I
in
feel like
disguise.
the comic book definitely feels like it's more inspired by the movie than the
Totally.
cartoon.
Yeah, Fred's hunky in it, for
Mhm.
instance.
I watched some behind the scenes of this movie, and in it, John Goodman complains about how bad of a haircut he had to get for this role. And I'm
Oh,
like, maybe in 1994 that's a bad haircut, but
he
in
looks cool.
2024, everyone agrees you're looking super
You're
hunky in this
looking
film,
great.
sir.
Yeah, and yeah, the casting overall is just like perfect. How could you get any
Which,
better than
well,
all of
apparently
them?
they wanted Jim Belushi originally
Okay.
for Fred Flintstone. He was attached for a while.
Huh.
Danny DeVito was the first choice for Barney.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you would want that, but I don't think that would be right.
There's also a very there's a lot of rude comments at the time about Rosie O'Donnell playing Betty Rubble,
Yes, I
because
remember that.
Betty Rubble is drawn as a stick figure, essentially,
Well,
like
this, yeah,
in the cartoon,
as
and
is every
there's
other
multiple
woman in
times.
every cartoon from that time period. So,
Yeah, but they, like, in the behind the scenes from the DVD, they reference that, like, well, Rosie isn't exactly the physical embodiment of Betty Rubble, but she does a great job and has the laugh down.
I mean, that is fucking stupid. First of all,
Yeah.
because she's great and she does have the laugh down, as does Elizabeth Perkins. They're terrific in their roles, but I do think that has a lot more to do with people's sexual fixation on Betty Rubble than anything else.
Yeah, body image standards of the 90s and weird fixations on Betty Rubble
Yeah.
is bizarre. There's a nasty quote from Rick Moranis that I don't know where he said it. It was just on the IMDb trivia. that when he was told Rosie O'Donnell was playing Betty, he said, "Shouldn't she be playing Fred?"
Rick,
Yeah,
how could
not
you
great,
speak
Rick.
that way, Rick? She did a great. You all did great. Just enjoy
Yeah,
that you're in the Flintstones movie, for crying out loud. Yeah, I do remember that too, though. I think I probably watched like Letterman make jokes about it or something.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, there's a long history of people being quite terrible to Rosie O'Donnell in public.
they're really,
I
and
feel like that was a staple of the
it
'90s.
continues to this day when Donald Trump says like he's gonna kill her or something. So
Yeah, I think their war has died down a
yeah,
bit, but
yeah.
it was a bizarre time for a while.
And I didn't see this movie. I had all the toys from McDonald's. I
Yep.
had T-shirts. I had cups. I did not see this movie in theaters. I'm 90% sure I did not.
Ooh, that's hard for me to remember because, yeah, this was definitely in an era where I was going to movies
Mm-hmm.
because, we would have been, what, 6 years old when
Yeah,
this came out? Yeah, I can't say for sure whether or not I did, but because I had so many of the toys, I feel like I must have.
I think I only saw this movie for the first time 4 years ago, probably.
That's okay. Interesting.
Or I mean, I kind of vaguely remember renting it and watching it in our like playroom when I was 9 and not like absorbing anything, except I can remember the part where Dino attacks Fred. But
Mm.
the first time I ever consciously watched this movie, yeah, was like 4 years ago or something like that. And I was just like blown away. Loved it.
See, and for me, every line of this film is chiseled into my brain because I watched it so many times as a kid. I'm also remembering that I talked about this on Nick's podcast, Real Bad, like,
This movie,
60 years. Yeah.
this movie's real good, Nick.
I think it's more that's notoriously bad. People talk about it like it's infamous for
Yeah,
being bad. As far as, cartoon to live action adaptation goes, it would be hard for me to think of something more successful.
yeah,
You know, maybe
it
not
is.
financially or critically, but as far as turning something from a cartoon into full live action, I don't know how you do it better.
Yeah, unashamedly. Also, apparently, like I'm so happy that this person, the director, was a big fan of the Flintstones, because you cannot be embarrassed that you're making a Flintstones movie and make a good Flintstones movie.
Do you think this is better or worse than Scooby Doo?
Matt, it made $341 million on a budget of $46 million, so
All right,
I think it's
so
doing okay for itself.
to be fair, yes, I do remember reading something along the lines of when it started to do so well, John Goodman begged Steven Spielberg to not make him do a sequel.
That's
He was like, "I know it's doing well, but please don't make me do this again."
I would have said, I'll be Fred Flintstone forever. Fred Flintstone reporting
He
for duty.
he literally says in the behind the scenes that he was scared to do this movie because he's afraid he was going to hear Yabba Dabba Doo for the rest of his life.
And what is so wrong with that? I'm mad at him, and I'm mad at Rick Moranis, and I
Rick
never
Moranis.
wanted to be in that position in my life.
They both try to play the cool guy in the
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff when you watch it, when they're like, "Yeah, we're just doing this little Flintstones movie. I don't know about that, but we'll see how this turns out."
It turns out you had one of the most beautiful on-screen friendships of all time, and you both looked great.
I'm trying to think of other good cartoon to live action adaptations. Like Popeye is obviously a very interesting
Yes,
one.
Popeye is great. Popeye also is unembarrassed and captures the vibe of the comic strips, if not the cartoons that people are more familiar with, which I think is one of the big disconnects that people have, is like, I know the cartoons and they're very different from the comics, but this is exactly like the weird ass comic strip was.
I wonder if like the Flintstones and the, box office success of that is what ultimately led to the wave of your Dudley Do Rights, your George of the
Oh,
Jungles,
sure.
your Rocky and Bullwinkles, like them trying to take like that whole era of TV and trying to translate it into live action movies.
Yeah.
I would say unsuccessfully.
Josie and the Pussycats, that was a great one.
Oh, my loves.
Yeah.
My biggest on-screen crush, Rachel Lee Cook
Scooby-Doo.
as Josie.
Scooby-Doo's
I
pretty
think Scooby-Doo's
successful.
successful.
Bit too nasty, maybe, but it's not as successful as the Flintstones, I would say, but still successful.
More successful financially and in the long run, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
But
That's true.
not as successful in our hearts.
Yeah. I think another thing that I didn't quite understand from the criticism was people saying that the script was so bad. When I think it's like a perfectly bare bones script, but
Yeah.
has such great little one-liners and moments, like especially when Fred just like alludes to how stupid he is, or like very Simpsons-y jokes, like when he's like,
Yes.
"Oh, me and Barney have been best friends since the first time I went through 5th grade." Or like the way that he and Wilma met was that Fred was in an all-you-can-eat contest and she was the one who hosed him off. I was like, "Come on, that's beautiful."
He also eats a giant like dino leg at some point during lunch. And he's like, my dad ate this every day for lunch and he lived to the ripe old age of 38.
It's just so beautiful. And maybe it is
There's
because
also-
movies
yeah.
are so bad now. I don't know if it's our brains are just broken. Because if the Flintstone movie came out now, I think the whole world would be like, "Thank you."
Give it the Oscar.
They might, Matt. They might do that.
Production design, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one of the moments of Fred being dumb that got me was when Barney finally confesses, like, I switched the test, Fred.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, yeah, sure you did. Why would I want to switch tests with the guy who got the lowest score?
It's so good. It's like so many little Simpsons quality jokes sprinkled in this.
Well, and everyone is so good at their role.
Yep.
Like, they're leaning into the voices just enough that it doesn't feel like they're trying to do an impression.
Yeah. Yeah, I would even almost say, like, John Goodman's great as Fred Flintstone. The worst part of the movie for me is that he doesn't nail Yabba Dabba Doo. I feel like he really doesn't give it his all, and maybe it's because he was too embarrassed to try hard.
He apparently tried to beg Steven Spielberg to let him not do the voice. Like, he wanted to do, like, a normal voice, which I don't...
His voice
is not...
like that. That's just what
Yeah.
his voice sounds like.
But I guess he didn't want to do the leaning into the lines and Wilma, you see here. Like, he wanted to stray away from that even more. And Steven Spielberg was like, dude, stop it.
Just
no.
shut up. Just be Fred Flintstone. We're giving you so much money to be Fred Flintstone. And Rick Moranis, I feel like, really leans into his, like, he like changes his whole face to look more like Barney Rubble. I feel like he just does like the perfect pout.
Yeah. We also, have, I feel like Rick Moranis with bleach blonde hair and sleeveless. I feel like it's not a Rick Moranis you're going to get anywhere else.
Ever again. Yeah. So do you think this is a good movie, though? Like a good movie?
Yes. I will say I think it is a good movie. Watching it a little bit more critically this time, I feel like I was able to find the moment in this film where I think people would fall off and start to get bored and maybe turn it off.
Which is?
It is when Fred goes on the lam when he has to run away because they're going to turn him into the cops for embezzling, and he's lost his family, he's lost the Rubbles, and it to me feels like a part of the movie where I think they must have deleted some scenes either in the script or after filming or something, because it feels so compressed that suddenly the stakes get lifted so high and you can't really tell how much time is passing when he's on the run. They make a TV movie about him seemingly in a few hours.
They don't have much going on. This is the most important thing that's happening in the whole world.
But it just feels like that was the switch into the last act after he confronts Cliff and Miss Stone and they call security on him when he's hiding out with a fake beard and the Jay Leno shows up, and it just feels to me like this is all happening in a really compressed way that I'm just waiting for them to move on from it very quickly.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it has some third act problems, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the third act is really the part that bugs me, because the introduction of it is this that I don't like, and the entire big set piece of this automation machine.
That's the worst part of the movie, in my opinion.
It's only there to have a big action climax,
which is fine. I mean, it's a movie, but it's just not very interesting, really.
I think it's too obvious that it's only that, because it's not even important to the Cliff's plans. The bulk of his plan is Fred embezzling money that then they're skimming and getting the money.
Yes. The
His,
automation
like,
has nothing to do with anything except he just wants to destroy this business on his way out the door, I think.
but also not really. Like, it's a very, I don't understand that part of the plan. And so to me, it feels like they don't want you to think about it too hard. They just
Yeah.
want you to enjoy when everything starts blowing up at the
Yeah.
end.
We got to put Bam Bam and Pebbles on something dangerous. So, yeah. It does. I think that Cliff Vandercave's character also nowadays is more impactful, as like we've seen so many like venture capitalists, like business MBA kind of guys like gut
Right.
businesses and move on, and like it's successful. Like he is such a villain for our time, in my opinion. That it maybe
there's
hits a little
definitely some things
differently
that
now.
feel there's definitely some things when Fred is interacting with the higher ups that I was like, oh, this part still holds up.
Yep. Yeah.
And especially when it comes to like automation taking jobs and everything. And I'm like, freaking AI.
Yeah. If I was as rich as Fred, though, I would just buy a bigger house, let my friends live in the house with me. I would just pay for them to have fun. I would never say anything about it, I don't think. They could just have a nice time. Fred's rich.
What's your favorite puppet in the movie?
Yeah, the puppetry. I think I like the mammoth shower the best. I think Dino's pretty
Mammoth
good.
Shower is very good.
Dino, you can kind of feel that they weren't entirely happy with the Dino puppet or something, so they just don't use him as much as, because he's like a pretty major part of the mythos of the Flintstones. And he could be like a character who is on this adventure with Fred or like helping at the end somehow. Feels like a natural place for him. I'd say Dino is beloved in a similar way that like Scooby-Doo is beloved, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think he doesn't get to talk, so he doesn't get as many fun moments.
Yeah. Right.
But I think he is equally beloved
But the
by a lot of
idea,
people.
like the when you think of Fred Flintstone, one of the first things you think of is Dino freaking out when he walks in the door and like jumping on him and standing on top of his chest and licking him. But I like the shower / sink mammoth. I think he's cute. I like when Betty throws a lime in his mouth or whatever that is. I like when she says, "I'm so glad you got over your cold," because the implications of that shower having a cold are really disgusting. So yeah, I think he's my favorite, but there's just so many little ones throughout it. Like the Dictabird looks kind of weird, I think, so I don't love looking at him. But
I think the Dictabird they tried to make look too realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like too much like a real creature. Whereas
Right.
the dinosaurs, for the most part, they let them have a little bit of a cartoony like bit to them. Like their eyes are not super realistic eyes and everything. But the Dictabird feels like they tried to make a real bird.
Yeah, he just looks like a real prehistoric creature that could have lived. But
the Dictabird, by the way, was one of the characters puppeteered by Drew Massey, who also puppeteered Count Blah. So that's one of our crossovers.
What's your favorite puppet?
I like the first garbage disposal, the big gross one.
Oh yes, yeah. He's great. I like that he is a vital plot important. I like that he's of vital plot importance as well.
Yeah, he comes back later on after he's been apparently fired, thrown
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
They don't really dive into that too much. That like when you buy a new garbage disposal, you just throw the old one on the street.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is the one who rats out Fred when Fred is trying to hide out in the cave.
But overall, the puppetry is fantastic. It's the kind of thing.
Well, that one's so tactile, where like Fred has to reach into its mouth to pull out the fork and his watch, and it just feels gross and grimy in the way that it should.
Yeah. Grime is really one of the major things missing from movies these days. Nobody's ever coated in slime the way that they should be, and CGI never looks slimy enough.
I mean, there's a pterodactyl who takes the biggest poop ever.
Yeah. That's such
on
a weird
bunch of
scene,
cars.
Too. It's like
it literally it's so unimportant to the overall movie. But they're just walking around in the park, and then there's like a pterodactyl attack,
and they run in,
and
fear,
everyone
and it takes a big shit on a car. This movie's so good it makes me genuinely forget that humans and dinosaurs didn't live at the same time.
That's the best. Put that on the poster for the Flintstones movie. This movie rewrote my brain.
I think as I was watching it too, I was reading about the Flintstones cartoon, and I was like, I think I actually loved this cartoon when I was a kid more than I'm remembering. So I think I just have a lot of fun.
I've watched enough of it.
I think I have a lot of fond feelings for those characters just built into me too, but don't feel like they're betrayed by this at all.
Yeah, I don't think I watched much Flintstones as a kid, actually. So I don't even think I had attachment to this movie because of that.
Hmm.
I think I just loved the way this movie looked so much as a kid that I wanted to like live in that world.
And it's got to be one of the best marketing coups that McDonald's has ever pulled off, too. There's no way you couldn't know everything about this movie if you were alive in 1994.
Yeah, no, it was oversaturated, some might say. But they had the toys, they had the collectible glasses. They are in the movie.
Oh yeah, Rock Donald's. Yeah, I think they changed their name to Rock Donald's in some places, or like put up a sign like that. That's just the way we did things back then. There's no movies don't get that big of a release anymore. Even like they don't get all these tie-ins like they used to. They get McDonald's toys aren't like exciting anymore. You can't go to McDonald's and buy like a T-shirt of a movie or these glasses.
Well, and the toys from McDonald's too, which I don't think I had all of them, but I had a good chunk of those. I
Mhm.
definitely had the bowling alley one. I remember that specifically. But they also had a toy of McDonald's.
Oh,
So McDonald's was able to have a toy of the Flintstones version
of the Rock
of
Donald's,
McDonald's.
like a
Yeah.
full-size actual toy.
Well, it was like, they had like little small play sets in their
Right.
toys. But one of them was the Rock Donald's. So they were able to even get away with a toy of their own restaurant.
Hell yeah.
I'm curious, did you ever see Viva Rock Vegas?
I did not. Doesn't seem
I
necessary
haven't seen that one
for
either.
me to see that.
But it came out several years later, I think. And Jim Henson's Creature Shop worked on that one as well. So I'm curious to see the puppets in that one.
Mhm.
But everything I have ever heard about that movie is negative.
Yeah, I don't ever need to see anybody else play Fred Flintstone, I don't think.
Worth noting, Cheryl Lee Ralph from Abbott Elementary is in this movie.
Oh yeah.
She is the woman at the adoption center who helps them out getting Bam Bam.
Right, that's who that is. Okay.
Also, Bam Bam was played by Icelandic twins who spoke no English
Good thing
and
they
had their
didn't.
voices dubbed
They did by a voice that sounded very familiar.
because it's Tommy Pickles.
Oh, okay, that's what I was gonna hazard to guess that it was Tommy Pickles.
Yeah, it's Elizabeth Daly, who was a singer and voice actor and actor in the 80s. She's in a few
She
movies.
was Dottie from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, was she not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's also in like Valley Girl and Say Anything. But in my heart, she'll always be Tommy Pickles.
I think for me, Dottie from Pee-wee was like my ideal woman when I was a child. She was my Josie and the Pussycats. And looking at pictures of what she's wearing, was pretty much dresses exactly like my wife. So sort of makes sense, I suppose, in retrospect.
I think if you look at, Devin has had like the Josie and the Pussycats haircut.
Oh,
like
you're
that
right.
chopped
Matt.
bob kind of thing in the past.
She
So
totally has the same vibe as her. You're right.
I think we both ended up marrying a version of our crushes from
And you know
childhood.
what? Pee-wee wouldn't care what direction he hangs his clothes up in the in the whatever. In the
Okay,
closet.
you don't need to be Pee-wee for your wife to be Dottie.
Well, what if Rachel was like, Pee-wee was my first love?
And thank goodness I ended up marrying a Pee-wee. I was just marveling at Amblin Entertainment's website has like a robust Flintstones page with like
What?
high-res film stills and all the info about it, and you can watch the BC-52's music video
What?
on there.
There's still websites?
My favorite thing is that they have their website set up, I'm assuming for bigger, more influential films, and under the big banner image is an area for a quote from the movie, and this one just says "Yabba Dabba Doo," Fred Flintstone.
What more do you need to say, really? Wow, this is a great website.
Right? Like I would expect them to have like the Space Jam website where you go on and you're like, oh, they haven't updated this in 30 years.
I haven't been on a website in God knows how long. This feels great.
A website at all?
Yeah. I just you're always on Twitter or on Tumblr or on Instagram, but you're never just like on the Amblin website. But you used to be all the time.
Yeah. I remember going to like trailers.apple.com or whatever it was to watch. That was the only place you could go watch new movie trailers.
Yeah. Or you go to like this website, you'd save these pictures, you'd print them out, you'd hang them on your wall. That's the only place you could get Flintstones pictures. Actually, I just found a note. That's my biggest issue with this movie is in the Flintstones cartoons, there's lots of jokes where the animals are doing a job that's weird or gross and they go, it's a living. But in this one, there's a bird who's like the
He's a
bottle
bottle
cap
opener.
opener on a Coke machine. And then he says, this job sucks. What?
It's the 90s, Sam. Get edgy.
And nobody says it's a living, I don't think. But I guess the joke is you're expecting him to say it's a living, and he says this job sucks. His job's actually one of the least bad jobs of all of the different animals, I would say.
Yeah, he doesn't have to watch Fred naked every day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
If you're a mammoth shower,
You're
just
seeing
watching
a lot.
everybody be naked all day. That's your
But
only
you
job.
know, who else you get to see naked?
Sam? No.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's true.
But the movie wraps up by thanking the good people of Bedrock for helping them to make this movie a success. Before we get into the most 90s ass movie credits that you could ever want.
Wait, why?
Because there's not only the BC-52's cover of the theme song, there's also a Green Jelly parody of Anarchy in the UK that is Anarchy in Bedrock.
I did not listen to that.
There's also a rap about the Flintstones
There
over
is
part of the end credits. It's not as good as like the Addams Family rap or
Uh-huh.
anything, but the fact that Green Jelly gets in there is very 90s. Apparently, if you bought the actual CD soundtrack for the Flintstones, Weird Al's Bedrock Anthem was on the soundtrack.
I love that song.
That's a very good song.
That's the song that I sing to myself instead of actual Red Hot Chili Peppers songs.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. But I love that they put that song on the soundtrack because they're like, well, Weird Al just put out this new song about the Flintstones. There's nowhere to put it in the movie or even in the credits, but we'll put it on our soundtrack.
Did he do it for the movie or they just?
I don't think so. I think he just did it.
Either. Yeah.
But that is the Flintstones. One of the movies that if you made me pick like a top 10 all-time movie list might eke its way on there.
I feel the same way. It's just fun to watch. There's nothing bad about the Flintstones.
Yeah. Well, and that's more surprising to me hearing that you didn't watch it when you were a kid. Because to me, it's on that list because I watched it so much as a kid that it just feels like it's part of my DNA.
Nope. It blew me away enough as an adult.
So clearly it is just one of the best movies ever made.
Yep, that is right.
Well, Sam, before we leave to go, have a joint birthday party? Is that what we're doing?
Sure.
Let's just say, for the sake of the podcast, yes, we are currently on our way to our joint birthday party.
Yep, we're both in tuxedos right now.
But before we rush off, I gotta ask, what non-Muppet thing did you enjoy this week?
So I've been trying to watch a horror movie every day until Halloween, which is months away from now.
It
I have a
is
lot of
currently,
gaps.
as we record this, August 25th.
I have a lot of gaps in my horror movie knowledge. So I watched two that I really like in the last couple days. One that I sort of liked, but was surprising and much different than I expected it to be, was The Guest, which was directed by the same person who directed Kong versus Godzilla and Kong X Godzilla, and it has Dan Stevens in it, and I love Dan Stevens for some reason. I think he's cool. But it's about a guy who comes home from war and goes to the family of one of his war buddies who died and tries to help them have a better life through iffy means. And it's kind of like John Wick plus Halloween. Like the movie Halloween combined, because he's kind of like violent gun army man plus it's set during Halloween, so there's Halloween decorations everywhere, and he's kind of also like a unstoppable, like he can get damaged as much as you could throw at him, and he keeps going, kind of killer guy. But the marketing for this movie makes it look like a very serious home invasion film, but it is actually a super goofy 80s pastiche Halloween movie.
Wild. Yeah. Like, I don't know if I've even seen the trailer for this, but I can say from the poster, it definitely seems like a very sincere, action-y kind of movie.
And I was a little disappointed in that because I have had it built up in my head as like scary Dan Stevens, but it's very fun in a very different way and not scary at all. If you're a scaredy cat, you could handle this movie for sure.
Like Sam.
Oh well, I'm a scaredy cat of real life stuff, not as big a scaredy cat of movie stuff.
Okay.
But I know people who don't like horror movies, and I think you could watch this as an action movie, more like a thriller action movie. But it has Halloween decorations everywhere, so it automatically becomes a terrific Halloween movie. And the other one I watched is called Ginger Snaps. Ginger Snaps. I don't know how you say it. It's about a girl named Ginger who snaps. But it's one that I used to see at Blockbuster all the time. And that one looks like it's going to be like a trashy sexploitation movie, kind of. It's like the vibe I get from the case, but it's actually like a coming of age movie that's very similar to like Jennifer's Body, or even kind of like Scott Pilgrim, just because they're both really Canadian and about like flawed teenagers. But it's about these two sisters who are kind of Wednesday Addams esque, but one of them gets bit by a werewolf, and it's a metaphor for like starting to like boys, I guess. So one of them's a little bit younger, and the older one gets bit by a werewolf, and she starts to become more interested in killing people and doing werewolf stuff. And the younger one is like sad and trying to cure her, but also like feels abandoned. But it's a great creature feature, also not very scary, but really like fun. So two surprising ones that were like genuinely good movies in very different ways than I was expecting them to be.
Yeah, 2 movies I don't even know if I knew existed.
I think you would probably like both of these movies, is my guess. How about you? What'd you watch?
Nothing really new. Watched a bunch of the DNC because that was on this past week.
Oh, yeah, right.
We actually rewatched You've Got Mail last night, which
how
I
was
feel like I
that?
talked about not even that long ago
I think
on
you're
this
right.
podcast.
I think you're right.
But we're watching a lot of New York movies right now in preparation for our New York trip.
Sure, that makes sense.
So, good as always. Very good movie. And still playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, yeah, that's a big game, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm only about 35-40% of the way through it, I think. I am very much liking the story. It very much feels, I think I said last time, like Red Dead Redemption 2, but you're a samurai.
Uh-huh.
I will say I think the gameplay gets a little repetitive. So if, they really want you to get a lot out of switching stances and changing up your gear a little bit and the slight nuances when it comes to the sword fighting. But I imagine that would matter more if you're playing on like the hardest difficulty.
Right.
But if you're playing on like normal, like I'm playing on,
Yeah.
you can kind of stay in any stance and do the same like hack and slash things over and over and
so
still kind of
doing
win.
So changing that stuff is just a chore that is unnecessary.
It gives you like a 10% little boost
right
to your fighting. Like, one thing works better against guys with shields. Other ones work better against guys with spears. Like, it'll definitely help you, but it is not the huge game-changing thing. Like, it's a pretty easy like button switch to just tap it real quick.
Right.
And I don't feel like a genius when I nail like, oh, I got that stance switched just in time to get the guy. But because you're a samurai and you have a bow and arrow or you have a sword, most of the missions are just go into this area, kill all the guys. But the story is very good and very interesting, and I think very well told. It is just the actual combat. Maybe like comparing it to like a Batman Arkham game. Like the actual fighting, you kind of know exactly what you're going to do when you go into a fight.
Right.
But yeah, it's a very fun, interesting game. It's very pretty to look at, but the battling itself gets a little repetitive. So I find myself having to I will do a thing where I spent a half hour clearing out a big fortress of a bunch of bad guys. And then I'm like, all right, let's go try to unlock some new armor or something that's not just hacking and slashing. Well, the next time we're back here in Commitment Land, we will be returning to some Muppets because our birthdays have passed. We're old 37-year-old men.
Yeah, 37-year-old men still talking about the Muppets.
And next time, we make our return to Fraggle Rock as we watch 3 more episodes of the last season of Fraggle Rock. This will be our penultimate episode about Fraggle Rock as we watch episodes 10, 11, and 12, leaving ourselves on a cliffhanger. We will watch the episodes Inspector Red, The Gorg Who Would Be King, and The Honk of Honks.
A cliffhanger? Like an actual 2-part episode cliffhanger?
I haven't looked that much into it, but I have been told that episode 12, which is the second to last episode of the series, does have a bit of a cliffhanger.
Okay.
So we will watch those 3 episodes of Fraggle Rock, and the week after that, we will come back and finish Fraggle Rock. End of sentence. I was going to say season 5, but all of it. But we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for all your commitment needs, or you can contact us at mail@commitment.com if you want to do that. You can follow this podcast everywhere on social media at commitmentpod, or you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.